Video released of an officer shooting a teen.
Stop! Put the gun down!
Next at 4, we look at the entire chase that ended in gunfire. Then, over 100 lives cut short by city violence this year, the troubling impact on teens. And our team investigates why young people keep getting caught up in crime. A bill to restrict where legal gun owners can carry is being signed by the governor today. How he's responding to the critics who are calling the new law unconstitutional.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
Fox 45 is breaking news out of Baltimore. Police are releasing video showing the moments an officer shoots and critically injures a 17-year-old in West Baltimore last week. Now, you can see a pursuit and the teen holding the gun. See that red circle right there? Before the officer opens fire on the teen. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala, the police commissioner, releasing that video and taking questions this afternoon.
Keith Daniels is live right now with the breaking details. Keith?
Well, Kai and Mary, the police commissioner said they don't have all the answers just yet, but he said he understands the scrutiny involved in this case. He took many questions, including what prompted that officer to engage with the teen. Now, investigators say the officer was actually sitting on a stoop with the teen, just talking with him and others, before the officer noticed the teen might be armed. And now look at the video. That's when the officer approached the teen, who then ran off. The officer pursued. At one point, the video shows the teen takes a weapon out of his waistband. The officer is heard ordering him to drop the weapon. At another point, circled here in red, the gun is seen clearly in the video. Then police say the teen turned to look back at the officer, and that's when the officer fired his weapon. Investigators say he fired off at least 4 shots, striking the teen once. Now, I asked the commissioner if he's satisfied with what he saw in that video.
Every police-involved shooting is an unfortunate incident. Every shooting and the harm to anyone is unfortunate. And so I will not say anything about whether I am satisfied, because it will be totally unethical for me to pass judgment before the end of it. And I would be not only undermining but corrupting the investigation.
Well, police say the teen was armed with a 9mm stolen from a car in 2021. Meantime, the commissioner identified the officer. His name is Cedric Ellaby. He joined the force in 2019. Per protocol, he's on administrative duties at this hour. They say this investigation is ongoing. We're live tonight at City Police Headquarters. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. Now, we are hearing from a former officer about the decision to use force when a gun is involved.
There are a number of things, not the least of which being, you look for a bulge, you look for something in the bell. And keep in mind, you look for, okay, this is where a person puts a gun, this is how it looks when it sticks through their shirt, things of that nature. At that point, when they realize that there's a weapon, they understand it's a dangerous situation, and they have a right to act.
Well, this is the first time Baltimore police have shot a citizen this year. This past November, Tyree Moorhead was shot and killed in West Baltimore by an officer. Police say he was threatening a woman with a knife. The Baltimore chapter of the NAACP said the group believes that police intervention was necessary, but questioned whether excessive force was used. And just over a year ago, 18-year-old Donnell Rochester was shot and killed by an officer in Northeast Baltimore. The department saying they were pursuing his vehicle in connection with a robbery investigation. A state investigation found one of the officers involved, Connor Murray, fired the fatal shots when the teen, quote, no longer posed a threat. City State's attorney Ivan Bates declined, though, to bring any charges.
Right now, the state is investigating 4 civilian deaths at the hands of police. Last year, more than 24 police shootings were investigated, but none of the officers will face charges.
The legal standard that is at play when an officer is approaching a potential deadly force situation is whether the officer was reasonably in fear for their life, either death or serious bodily injury. I think that the fact that these cases still typically are not being prosecuted is just evidence of the fact that police officers are making good decisions.
Well, this year, the Senate passed a bill to give the Attorney General power to prosecute police. Right now, the Attorney General has to turn over its investigation to local jurisdictions for charging decisions. You can find more in this story at foxbaltimore.com.
And we are following more breaking news. Another senior official in the mayor's office under the microscope today.
Fox 45's Jeff Abel has the story of why the mayor's interim chief of staff is being questioned about his income and how he reported it. Jeff?
Well, it was just 2 weeks ago when the mayor appointed his former campaign manager to be his new interim chief of staff. And now there are questions whether that appointee has reported all of his income to the city's ethics board. Prior to his appointment, Marvin James had been working as a senior aide to the mayor. He also works as a campaign consultant who, according to state campaign reports, has received thousands from 5 different political campaigns while working at City Hall. However, the city's ethics report filed by James fails to report any of the outside work.
You're talking about a city employee who is well paid with city taxpayer dollars, who also on the side is running 5 different campaigns. You got to wonder about his divided attention. You've also got to wonder about his divided loyalties. Is he working to make sure that these people are getting elected, or is he working for the city of Baltimore? It's a terrible conflict of interest.
We have reached out to Marvin James for explanation. So far, no comment. We are live. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Well, Baltimore reaches another difficult point in the fight against crime. The city has surpassed 100 homicides for the year so far.
We have team coverage. Mackenzie Frost is questioning Governor Moore and his priorities when it comes to public safety.
First, Alexa Ashwell joins us live in studio with a look at the most troubling spikes we're seeing in crime. Alexa?
Look, Mary, the most troubling spike would be the rise in juvenile crime. We're seeing cases of juveniles on both sides of the gun with little sign of the violence slowing. Just hours into 2023, Baltimore had its first homicide. The victim, 17-year-old Deasia Garrison. Her death, the beginning of a troubling trend when looking at crime in the city this year.
I just want to take my kids away from here.
At least 10 of the more than 100 homicides the city has tallied so far this year are juveniles. And while overall homicides and shootings are down compared to this time last year, among juveniles, homicides are up about 67%, and non-fatal shootings are up about 55%, according to BPD data.
Anybody that was up there?
This mother, who just had to call 911. Her neighbor's 14-year-old daughter was shot.
I just heard the gunshot real loud, and then it sounded like somebody hit the floor.
Blames access to guns, a lack of resources, and drugs.
There's nothing in these neighborhoods. All they see, they becoming a product of our environment. All they see is guns, drugs, stuff like that.
Guns, drugs, and gangs, the main drivers of the overall violence here in Baltimore.
Drug organizations are significant drivers of violent crime, particularly shootings and murders in the city of Baltimore.
Gangs are certainly a driver of violence in the city. There's no doubt about it.
Back in March, officials announcing the takedown of a 33-member criminal enterprise accused of trafficking heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine, and committing acts of violence. Other organizations identified or dismantled this year alone include the 1800 Boys, the Anybody Gets It, or ABG, operating out of West Baltimore's Princess Plaza, Cherry Hills, Up the Hill, the NFL Gang, an acronym for the 3 neighborhood streets that mark its territory, and the WIC Squad. Still, the problem persists. Former BPD Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson says BPD simply doesn't have the manpower.
Even when you take people off, meaning arrest offenders and incarcerate offenders, there are many more that are willing to step in their shoes. If you're making it harder to prosecute young people, if you're if you have a staffing problem in your police department, if you're not trying to incarcerate drug dealers, all of these things are going to contribute to an atmosphere that we have in Baltimore.
An atmosphere that's bleeding onto city youth. So here we are, 136 days into 2023, and the city has had 102 homicides. Why there's still concern we may again reach 300 homicides, this time for the 9th consecutive year at 5. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Well, right now, the Baltimore Police Department has a clearance rate of about 40%. That means more than half of crimes committed are going unsolved. This year, Mayor Scott is expanding a central part of his crime plan, the Group Violence Reduction Strategy. The program seeks to provide resources to help steer people who are already involved in crime away from it. And when it comes to young people in crime, a curfew is set to go into place this Memorial Day weekend. The mayor says his team is working to ensure young people have things to do when school is out, although so far we haven't been told many details on how it will work. And last week, Shantae Jackson, the director of the mayor's office overseeing public safety, announced she is stepping down. A replacement has not been named.
In Annapolis, lawmakers have wrapped up their work for the session, and Governor Wes Moore is putting pen to paper today, signing 175 bills into law targeting public safety.
Common sense legislation to ensure that if you have a mental illness and have a history of violent behavior, that you cannot get your hands on a gun.
One of the bills, the controversial bill curbing where legal gun owners can bring their firearms in public, was signed into law. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost spoke with Governor Moore. And Mackenzie, there's already a legal challenge to this, we understand, right?
Yeah, Kai, that's right. We are getting word that the NRA has filed a lawsuit against Maryland over Senate Bill 1. This happened, we got word of this just moments after Governor Moore put his pen to paper signing this plan into law. I'm still waiting for a copy of the complaint from the NRA to see exactly what their argument is in this issue. But this really wasn't a surprise, right? There have been concerns about the constitutionality of this law this entire legislative session. We've heard from Republicans who have lobbied hard against this plan, but even some Democrats, including Democratic Senator Corey McRae from Baltimore City, who had concerns about the legal legs of this plan moving forward. Earlier today, Governor Wes Moore says that he firmly believes this language in the law is constitutional and says that he will support the Attorney General's effort in fighting this in court if it comes to it. Now, all of this could cost taxpayers as we still see the concern over gun violence play out in communities all across the state. I know that you said the AG believes that it is constitutional. Will we see that being defended all the way as far as it could go?
Yeah, well, I know the Attorney General has come back and said to us that that he believes this bill is constitutional, that he believes that any form of legal challenge is not going to be sustained. I also looked at the merits of everything that we're trying to do to get both illegal guns off of our streets and also to make sure that we are understanding that constricting and dealing with the issue of firearms and gun violence in our community is going to be a priority for this administration. So that's why I felt comfortable moving forward.
What will you do to tackle illegal guns on the streets?
Well, if you look at what we've done in our budget, we've already been incredibly aggressive. You know, already putting in record investment in the Maryland Coordination and Analysis Center, which is focusing on things like license plate readers, because we know that a lot of the illegal guns that are coming into Maryland, they're coming in from other states. They're getting flooded in. So the license plate readers, the record investment in MCAC is helping to both disrupt the flow of illegal guns into our communities, but also disrupt the networks.
And Mackenzie, one of the other bills the governor signed, we understand, included the language City State's Attorney Ivan Bates pushed forward during the session. Is that right?
Yeah, Kai, that's right. This was the bill that we have talked to the City State's Attorney many times about. It's the language that calls to raise the maximum penalty for first-time gun offenders from 3 years to 5. That moved forward, also being signed into law. Bates has long said that this tool will allow him to send a message that will not be tolerated.
We recognize it's not going to change everything, but since that bill was passed, 26 people in Baltimore City have been murdered. So for us, we need to make sure individuals know they can and will be held accountable.
Both that bill and SB 1 will take effect October 1st. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. That brings us to our question of the day. Do you trust Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Wes Moore to tackle the violent crime problem? Well, the poll just opened. To vote, go to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
New video out of Virginia shows a woman being chased by somebody with a baseball bat. The event that ended with an attack at a congressman's office.
Years of planning for redevelopment at Pimlico met with another obstacle. We'll have an update as we learn the planned development in the area is stalled.
Celebrating their love for an iconic Maryland seasoning. I'm Maxine Stryker in Fells Point. Why all of these people are lined up outside the Baltimore Tattoo Museum today.
And if you're commuting home this afternoon, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., there is a risk of some rain, but it's nice and warm. Temperatures near 80. I'm going to track that rain. The showers on the radar coming up hour by hour, minute by minute by Weather Authority forecast.
All right, the countdown is on to the 148th running of the Preakness Stakes. We were at Pimlico earlier this morning as final preparations continue ahead of this weekend's races. Coming up in 30 minutes, our Mark Clark will take us through some of the interesting history of Preakness at Pimlico.
And the Preakness draw is in. There are only 8 horses running in the Preakness Stakes. Kentucky Derby winner Mage drew the 3rd post position for Saturday's race. Mage is heading in as a very heavy favorite.
Amazing. This is what we dream of. No the recognition, no like getting famous, no about that. It's about winning the race. Now that we have won it, of course, we understand that with that kind of success, there's another all stuff coming together with that. And we try to do the best we can.
After the draw, just how do you feel about the field and the post positions and where everything kind of falls into place for Mage?
We're good. I'm pretty content with it. I think I was more concerned at the Derby, 20 horse field, 8 horse now. I think and hopefully the best wins. That's what horse race is about.
That's a fair way of looking at it. Mage won only one other race in the 3 before the win at the Derby. The purse for the Preakness Stakes this year, $1.65 million.
I guess we can say he's Mage in America.
Yeah, I like that.
I've got dad jokes. I'll be here all week.
All day long.
Thank you.
Well, it has been now 3 years since lawmakers inked the Racing and Community Development Act of 2020.
A deal to bring the state, or $375 million in state investments to Pimlico and Lower Park racetracks, and to keep the Preakness Stakes in Baltimore. But those plans to breathe new life into Pimlico have been delayed. Last year, in fact, state officials predicted construction could get underway at Pimlico in late summer of 2023, and we're now learning there's no concrete timeline for when construction will begin.
I actually can't give you a timeline. It's, there's a lot of work to be done. Everybody needs to roll up their sleeves and really pitch in and share ideas and share concepts and figure out how we can close those gaps. It's an extensive project, and it's got a lot of twists and turns to it and a lot of complications. It's not a simple, build it and they will come kind of situation.
Well, some point to the pandemic, interest rates and inflation as some of the challenges delaying the project. Coming up at 5:30, Amy Simpson will have a full report. Well, what better way to show your excitement for the Preakness than with a permanent commitment?
Maxine Stryker is live in Fells Point with what's going on. Maxine, are you going to take part in this venture?
I was going to ask you guys, Mary and Kai. I am not, but let me tell you what is going on out here that has had people lined up literally since we came here at 11. This line was wrapped completely around the block. People started lining up at 6 o'clock this morning, all because they love none other than the iconic Maryland seasoning, Old Bay. This is the Baltimore Tattoo Museum here along Eastern Avenue, and today they partnered with Old Bay to give away free tattoos, but they have to be Old Bay themed. There were 3 designs people could choose from: crab mallets with the Old Bay logo, a crab, and a black-eyed Susan with the Old Bay logo. I can tell you the crab was the most popular one here today. The artists have been working since 11 o'clock. They have 7 artists inside that are working on these tattoos. They were hoping to see about upwards of 80 people today. Like I said, there was more than 200 in line. So unfortunately, some people had to be turned away. But you can see it hasn't deterred people out here still in line right now. This is not the first time they have done this event. I remember it happening back in 2019, and it was equally as popular then. And the other fun thing about today is you could enter for a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to the Preakness Saturday. There's nothing more Maryland than all of that. So now I got to ask you guys, would you get an Old Bay tattoo?
Sure. Here's my thought. Mary and Maxine.
Here you go.
If it came out of a Cracker Jack box, the kind, remember you put water on it, Maxine, you take it off, and I think it goes away in about a day or 2. That one, yes. A regular tattoo,
right.
I don't know.
Mary?
Probably not, if you know me. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's a cool thing. I can't believe, Maxine, people are out there with chairs and sitting, just waiting their turn. I hope they are able to get it. Because tattoos cost how much? What is this saving people? I don't even know.
About $200 bucks?
A couple $100.
Yeah.
So.
Not the other one.
And they get some Maryland pride with it, too.
Okay. All right, Maxine, good luck.
We're exhausted. We're dying.
And come back with a tattoo. Well, the running of the 148th Preakness Stakes takes place this Saturday, May 20th, and we're giving you the chance to go for free. Watch Fox 45 Morning News all week and wait for your cue to call each hour from 5 to 10 a.m. One lucky winner will get 4 all-day general admission passes, including the Preakness lineup concert headlined by Bruno Mars, of course. Oh, my goodness. All we need now is some good weather for Preakness on Saturday. How's it looking?
Tattoo the forecast on your arm, Jonathan.
Right, maybe I do that, but the only place I like my Old Bay, no, it's not on my arms or my legs, it's on broccoli. I like it on
Interesting.
crabs.
I never had that.
Crabs,
I'll
like
try
seafood.
it. I'll
I thought you were
try
going
it.
to say on your fingers, because that's what when you're
that's
eating
for
crabs
sure.
under
Except
your
when I'm putting my
fingernails and
contacts in.
everything. Yeah.
Ouch. That would hurt.
HD radar. Yes, the forecast as we head toward Preakness gets a little more touch and go than it is or has been around here. But right now, actually, we do have some showers that are trying to move in from Bowie across central Anne Arundel County. The real weather is down here in this kind of patch of red. That's a severe thunderstorm watch and lots of warnings across the Ohio Valley and western Virginia, western Carolinas. That will stay south of us. We're in drier heading into the remainder of the afternoon and this evening. Then this cold front going to sweep all this south, and it's dry and cooler for the next couple of days after today. Made it to 82, but now the clouds have thickened up on the Mile 1 Taos Camp, so we're taking it to 79. Winds out of the west at 10 miles an hour. Humidity is low at 42%, so even though the showers are trying to come in, they're having a hard time making it to the ground. So just a couple of spatters on the windshield, I think, at worst, through about midnight tonight. 79 Baltimore right now, 76 at Cockeysville. There are those clouds rolling in from the south and western. Where it's been raining, it's a lot cooler. Then you hop over that front that's to our north, and look at what happens. All this cooler air, it sinks toward us as we head into our Wednesday and Thursday, but the warmer air not far behind. So we say bye to the showers after about midnight tonight, maybe a light spatter or two. Temperature settling down into the 50s to near 60 overnight. There's your clearing skies by early tomorrow morning. Then Thursday, Friday, gorgeous days. Wednesday, gorgeous day. Black-eyed Susan Day, dry 74. Could see some spot showers for Preakness on Saturday. Should be light 77 near 80 ending the weekend.
Jonathan, thank you. A health watch for you. Baby formula recalled over contamination concerns still making it to store shelves. What consumers are being asked to do. Congress is racing around the clock to regulate artificial intelligence. What happened today after the CEO of the company that owns ChatGPT appeared on the Hill? But first, a horrifying bat attack in one Virginia neighborhood. How police say this escalated to a congressman's office. Some scary moments in Fairfax, Virginia, as a man is caught on camera chasing a neighbor with a baseball bat. Moments after that incident, the man allegedly attacked 2 congressional staff members. The 49-year-old suspect did not show up to his arraignment today. He is facing assault and hate crime charges. Police say he went to Democrat Congressman Jerry Connolly's office and requested to see him. He wasn't there, but the suspect allegedly assaulted 2 staffers, including an intern. It was her first day in the office. Both of them were treated for injuries that are not life-threatening. Neighbors are speaking out.
Told me a couple weeks ago that his son had mental problems, and that that's possible, and not to be afraid of him.
The next hearing for the suspect is set for July 17th.
Ew. A surge of car break-ins and theft, driving delays at auto body shops like this one. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and coming up, I'll tell you how long you might be waiting if your car needs repaired.
Now that the special counsel has wrapped up his investigation into Donald Trump and Russia, what does it mean for the 2024 campaign? I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with a closer look coming up.
A leading candidate for superintendent of Baltimore County Schools named in a lawsuit. Next, Project Baltimore reports on why a former high-ranking employee is fighting her termination.
A warning for Baltimore City drivers. A local auto repair shop says you could be waiting weeks, maybe longer, for simple car repairs.
It comes amid a surge in car break-ins and thefts across the city. Rebecca Pryor joins us live.
And Rebecca, we understand that auto shops are telling people they're struggling to keep up. What's the problem here?
Yeah, they really are. According to data from the Baltimore City Police Department, what we know is that car thefts, they have almost doubled compared to this time last year, and it's driving demand up at auto repair shops like this one. The owner of Bumper Globe Collision Center in South Baltimore telling us his mechanics are swamped with a backlog of vandalized vehicles, most of which are damaged Kias and Hyundais, sending from a social media challenge showing just how easy it is for those cars to be stolen. That's not all, though. They're also seeing a number of shattered windows and swiped catalytic converters on all types of makes and models. They say with insurance, customers will likely be waiting at least a month for repairs. And even then, right now, stolen parts are taking weeks just to track down.
It takes about 2-3 weeks just to get an ignition cylinder anymore. A lot of times we might have to get it used on eBay. Let the customer know that. Junkyard, stuff like that. Manufacturer can't keep up.
And across town, we also stopped by Best Price Auto Glass, who told us they're getting up to 30 to 40 calls a day. Long delay for service on their end as well. Coming up, I'll tell you just how many cars were stolen across Baltimore City in the first week of May alone. The number might shock you. But for now, reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Interesting story, Rebecca. Thank you. Last week, Mayor Scott announced a lawsuit against Hyundai and Kia over car thefts. The mayor says the car companies have outdated technology, making them prone to thefts. Maryland's Attorney General has also joined more than a dozen states asking for a recall of cars prone to theft. He says social media is inundated with videos showing people how to hotwire cars.
And taking a look now at the Fox 45 quad box, potentially contaminated baby formula has made its way to store shelves despite a recall alert. The affected products were made by Parigio and manufactured between January 2nd and January 18th of this year. Customers are advised to throw affected products away.
President Biden is again meeting with top congressional leaders on the nation's debt ceiling. Republicans are pushing for spending cuts, and the president is proposing tax hikes. Now, the nation could default on its debt in 2 weeks.
Banking executives grilled today in Congress over recent bank failures. Witnesses for Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank say the collapse came from unprecedented events. Some have cited poor management.
The head of the company that makes ChatGPT appears in Congress for the first time. Sam Altman says he's open to some regulation on the technology. It's part of the work in Congress to address the growing use of artificial intelligence.
Well, 4 years and millions of dollars later, a report into how the government investigated Donald Trump and a possible collusion with Russia is out.
Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman takes a closer look at how politics may have played a role in all of it.
In a town built on politics, they can be hard to avoid or leave out, which, according to that highly critical report by special counsel John Durham, investigators failed to do. And politics helped drive the Justice Department and FBI's decisions while looking into alleged collusion between Russia and Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. Some of that brought to the FBI's attention through opposition research funded by Democrats and Hillary Clinton's campaign.
We went through years of nonsense with Russia. It was a frame-up, and these are bad people. This is Schiff and Clinton. These are bad people.
Durham finding significant reliance on investigative leads provided or funded directly or indirectly by Trump's political opponents. The department did not adequately examine or question these materials, even when they learned of contradictory intelligence. Some conservative legal experts going much further, bolstering claims it was a well-orchestrated hit job by the Clinton campaign and government officials with a predisposition to investigate Trump, and citing the parade of Trump critics who for years asserted they had hard evidence.
We've seen enough to know that what the campaign agreed to do, that is accept the help of the Russian government.
A theme in the 2020 campaign, too.
And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it.
Trump, who thrives off of playing the victim role, has been nonstop fundraising off of the attacks and lobbing his own at the media.
Now the Times, the Washington Post, they all admit it was a fake story. We're trying to get the Pulitzer Prize taken away. They got Pulitzer Prizes. We're suing.
Durham also didn't find the kind of widespread deep state plots against Trump that Trump had long alleged, but that won't stop him from using this as well as the other multiple investigations he currently faces to help rally his base in his 2024 bid. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Well, we want you to join the national conversation. To weigh in, take out your phone, open the camera, and just point it at that QR code right there on your screen. The question is, do you think there's political bias in the FBI? Yes or no? Again, all you have to do is point your camera at that screen to weigh in.
A former high-ranking employee of Baltimore County Public Schools is suing the school system for wrongful termination.
Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains this lawsuit is bigger than one employee losing their job. It could impact the next superintendent.
This wrongful termination lawsuit was filed against Baltimore County Public Schools on April 13th. It was filed by the district's former Chief Human Resources Officer, Sharia Anderson. Anderson claims BCPS engaged in unlawful acts when her employment was terminated in December 2022. According to court documents, she lost her job after a series of disagreements with district leadership. Anderson is seeking a jury trial along with compensatory and punitive damages and other relief.
This lawsuit is noteworthy for a couple reasons. First, the people mentioned are some of the highest-ranking officials in BCPS, including Superintendent Dr. Darrell Williams and his deputy superintendent, Dr. Miriam Yarbrough.
The other reason this lawsuit is noteworthy is because Dr. Williams is leaving on June 30th. His contract was not renewed.
So our approach has been a multi-layered one.
And Yarbrough, who was once a principal in Montgomery County, is one of the 4 finalists to replace him. And now she's been mentioned in this wrongful termination lawsuit.
For me, it would be a problem because it would cause me to have doubts.
Lily Rowe is a former member of the Baltimore County Board of School Commissioners.
I don't think I would want to just jump into a choice without knowing details.
According to the lawsuit, Anderson reported to Dr. Williams and Dr. Yarbrough. Anderson claims in or around 2022, she discussed disciplinary action for an employee with both Williams and Yarbrough on several occasions. Anderson says she was later berated by Dr. Williams for placing that employee on leave without first consulting him. The lawsuit does not specifically state what role, if any, Yarbrough had in Anderson's alleged wrongful termination. Baltimore County Schools is the 24th largest school system in America. It has 111,000 students with a $2.2 billion budget. The school board is rumored to vote on a new superintendent, possibly this week. Rowe believes with the filing of this lawsuit, the board should wait.
Well, what happens if you end up with a superintendent who was considered to be somehow at fault for a wrongful termination? If you have somebody that actually really did wrongfully terminate someone, how's that going to affect the morale of the staff? And are we going to lose a whole bunch of staff?
Project Baltimore reached out to Baltimore County Schools and Dr. Yarbrough asking for a comment concerning the allegations in the lawsuit. We also asked about the suit's potential impact on a new superintendent. We received this reply. BCPS declines to comment at this time on this pending litigation. Anderson's attorney also declined to comment to Project Baltimore.
It's really hard to remove a superintendent. So I would think you would want to deliberate and make sure that you're sure before you hire one.
Dr. Yarbrough is one of 4 finalists to be the next Baltimore County Schools superintendent. The school board has chosen to keep the names confidential during the interview process, but Project Baltimore has confirmed the other 3 names are Dr. Robert Taylor, Dr. Kenny Rodriguez, and Dr. Jason Glass. Yarbrough is the only local candidate. We will continue to follow the board's progress on choosing a new superintendent. I'm Chris Papst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Well, how much do you love Old Bay? I'm Maxine Stryker in Fells Point at the Baltimore Tattoo Museum with a close look at the tattoos they're giving away for free here today.
Oh, so it looks painful. All right, well, the overnight planner tonight dropping down to about 59 by early morning, but the biggest thing is the chance of some showers that last through about midnight. I'll let you know how long those stay away and if they're going to be back for Preakness in my Weather Authority forecast.
Hey, let's return live to Fed Hill right now. Maxine Stryker is out there as people are making their Preakness and Old Bay love kind of permanent out there. Maxine, how's it going? Still crowded?
Yeah, not kind of. They're making it permanent here, Guy. We are inside the Baltimore Tattoo Museum now, where I hope you're not afraid of needles, because we're going to give you a little closer look at some of these tattoo artists hard at work here. As I told you, Old Bay partnered up with the Tattoo Museum today to give out 3 free tattoos for the first 70 to 80 people in line here this morning. And yes, they lined up early, starting at around 6 o'clock this morning. And as you just saw a few minutes ago, they're still in line now. You could get a crab mallet tattoo with the Old Bay logo, a crab, or a black-eyed Susan with the Old Bay logo. This lady in here is getting the crab. I think that was the most popular one you saw here today. And you could also enter, while you were here today, a chance to win 2 platinum VIP tickets to Preakness Saturday. So lots of good stuff going on. Like I said, over 200 people lined up, but they can only see about 60 to 80 today. They're going to be open till 8 o'clock here tonight. They have 7 artists that are hard at work through here. And this is not the first time they have done this event. It is super popular. Here you can see another crab on the back of this lady's leg here. Some super talented artists here. It's been a really, really fun day. Kai, I already asked you. You said you wouldn't get a tattoo. I don't know. I think I might do it.
You might?
For free.
But, you know, Maxine, let me ask you a question here real quick, too. If anybody's watching this and says, hey, all right, they're getting tattoos, what's the big deal? First, not just the ink, but you kept talking about it. Tattoo artistry is really labor intensive. It is an art, it's a skill. It's a big deal to give away 70 free tattoos, isn't it?
It is. They're very, very expensive. So it is a big deal for them. And these are not easy tattoos. They're taking about an hour to an hour and a half for each artist to work on here today. They're big, they're detailed, and they're really, really beautiful. And you can see people in here waiting still, and they all love Old Bay. But if you live here in Maryland, who doesn't? If you don't say it, that's for sure.
All right, sounds good, Maxine. If you get a tattoo, please let us know. All right, you can also be featured in the Fox 45 Preakness Gallery. Make sure to send us a picture or video if you'd like from Pimlico, or even during your at-home Preakness celebrations. Go to foxbaltimore.com/chime-in to send your submissions. You can also scan the QR code you see on your screen. That will take you to the same place. All right, pretty good out there in Fells Point, where Maxine is. People getting tattoos, Jonathan?
Yeah, the question is, where do you get it? I mean, is it like on the arm,
Anything that's fleshy and not bony, because I would imagine that would hurt.
Painful to me.
Right? No ankles.
I have no tattoos.
I don't either, but they look painful sometimes.
Yeah, not for me. Yeah. All right, well, speaking of not painful, this weather, how about it? Some beautiful, beautiful weather. I mean, we've had temperatures. How about that for a segue? Temperatures in the 70s to around 80 past couple of days, sunshine. Today, though, notice that rain, the showers that are moving in. Now, the good news is, as these do move in, it's kind of hitting some dry air. So it's not making a whole lot of a big factor, a big problem for our afternoon commute. But there could be a couple of spatters on your windshield, so make sure your wipers are clean. Now, to the north, there's a cold front that's going to shove all this stuff south and out of here just in time for late tonight and tomorrow. So drier, cooler weather, no more 80s by tomorrow afternoon. Right now we're at 79 here in Baltimore at BWI, off of a high of 82 a couple hours ago when the sun was really out. Winds out of the west at 10. The clouds are back. Humidity at 42%, and our dew points are in the 50s. So a little touch more humid than it's been over the past couple of days. Temperatures pretty much area-wide across the map are in the 75 to 80 range. The clouds, those have been rolling in continuously from the west and the south. Even some rain now around Deep Creek Lake, Oakland, Cumberland. Temperatures dropping into the 50s and 60s there with the moist skies. And where the rain is, and actually even some severe weather across portions of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, that's where temperatures are dropping now. Rain cooled into the 60s at St. Louis. They've been having a rough few days with flooding and now severe weather just east of St. Louis. We've got temperatures in the 60s and 70s all the way across northern portions of Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, and into West Virginia. South of that, it's hot and humid, 85 to 90. North of that, it's dry but warm. Temperatures right around 80, and that's where we continue to be. Now, the cooler weather, notice, though, as we take a look at our jet stream pattern or the storm track pattern, basically the cooler air resides to the north of the jet stream. The cooler air is going to continue to sink southbound as that storm track drops southbound as we work into Wednesday and Thursday. That means all the storms, all the stormy weather, all the rain, that will move away. Sunshine will return, but high temperature is going to be hard pressed to get out of the low 70s, maybe even upper 60s. So the future scan for the remainder of the afternoon into this evening, notice some of the spot showers becoming maybe a little more numerous towards sunset, but then drying out once again. It's going to be real hard pressed to get a whole lot of rain out of this. Most of the moisture is relegated down to our south and west. By about midnight tonight, that starts sliding over the eastern shore out, and then sunshine comes back by early tomorrow morning with lows in the mid-50s to near 60. Tomorrow, with sunshine returning, look at those highs, near 70. Still nice winter of a day. We'll be at 70 degrees on Thursday, maybe some upper 60s in the mix as well. Black-eyed Susan Day, nice day, 74. Some spot showers should be fairly light, and I think earlier in the day rather than later, but it's something to watch by Preakness post time just prior to 7 p.m. on Saturday, 77, near 80 into early next week.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Coming up at 5 o'clock on Fox 45, the NRA has taken action moments after Governor Wes Moore signs a gun control legislation. You'll hear from the governor. And we take you to Pimlico for a step back in history and the running of the Preakness Stakes. Hey, if you're a horse racing fan, even if you're not, all roads lead to Pimlico this weekend for the Preakness Stakes. And ahead of the races, you can get an up-close and personal look behind the scene. Be More lifestyle host Mark Clark is checking out Sunrise at Old Hilltop.
And I'm with April with Sunrise Tours, and we have a bit of history that you may not be aware of. What is this, April?
This is the original weather vane that stood on top of the clubhouse as of 1909 is when it made its debut. The Preakness went away for a couple years in New York, and when it came back, the other weather vane had been struck by lightning. So they got a craft artist from Elkridge, Maryland, Rebecca Dobbin, to make this out of automobile steel. And when that 1909 Preakness occurred, they started singing the state song, and they started painting the jockey on the weather vane. It still has the colors from the last jockey, Kauai Silk's colors, the blue and the white. He won the 1966 Preakness, also the Derby, but he did not win the Belmont. A few short weeks after the Belmont that year is when our beautiful old clubhouse burnt to the ground. Sad to lose it, and this is all that we have left, this wonderful, wonderful old weather vane. We now have the cupola. Actually, the cupola made its debut before the clubhouse burnt down. It was put up because Joan Crawford was going to come to town and to present our Preakness trophy. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do for a movie star? So you build her a cupola.
I love it.
So,
wire hangers.
Yes, she's the one who actually stood there with our brand new little tiny weather vane, and that's the one that we paint every year to this day.
So the tradition continues. Thank you, April, so
Yes,
much
indeed.
for that great information. Again, so excited about Preakness Week. More information, more great stories, and more information here at Fox 45. And I'm Mark Clark.
Well, the running of the 148th Preakness Stakes takes place Saturday, May 20th, and we're giving you the chance to go for free. Watch Fox 45 Morning News all week and wait for your cue to call. Each hour from 5 a.m. until 10 a.m., one lucky winner will get 4 all-day general admission passes, including the Preakness Live concert lineup headlined by Bruno Mars.
All right, a quick wrap-up of your weekend forecast. Big weekend coming up with Preakness on Friday for Black-Eyed Susan Day. Looks like we're in between systems, so sunshine, high temperatures going to be working through the 70s. Saturday, still kind of in between these weather makers as moisture out to our west hopefully transfers to the east coast and offshore, so we could see some showers in the morning and maybe a spritz during the afternoon, but you kind of see where the rain goes around us. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for this forecast to hold. And then on Sunday, to wrap up the weekend, things dry out, of course. Friday, we're at 74, 77 Preakness. Again, that sprinkle or shower chance. And then Sunday, nice looking with near 80.
Jonathan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, we're following breaking news, the latest on what we're learning from new body camera video of a Baltimore police shooting last week. And all new at 5 o'clock, planned development at Pimlico is stalled once again. We'll tell you why. Body camera footage of a Baltimore police officer shooting a 17-year-old with a gun is released. What we're learning tonight.
A legal challenge to Maryland's new gun control law issued moments after it's signed, the latest on the battle over SB 1.
More than 100 people killed in the city this year. We compare the homicide rate to years past to see if we're on track to surpass the 300 people lives lost last year.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Breaking news tonight, body camera footage is released that shows what led up to the shooting of a 17-year-old in Baltimore. In the video, you can see police confronting Mackay before he runs from officers, eventually pulling out a gun, and then he is shot by an officer. The department says the shooting is under review. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45's Keith Daniels is live now with the video and what comes next in the police review of this shooting. Keith?
Well, Mary and Kai, the police commissioner, right off the top said they don't have all the answers just yet, but he did say he understands the scrutiny involved in this case. He took many questions, including what prompted that officer to engage with the teen in the first place. Now, investigators say the officer was actually sitting on a stoop with the teen, just talking with him and others, before the officer noticed the teen might be armed. Now, look at the video. That's when the officer approached the teen, who then ran away. The officer pursued. At one point, the video shows the teen takes a weapon out of his waistband. The officer was heard ordering him to drop the weapon. At one point, circled in red, look at it, the gun is seen clearly in the video. Then police say the teen turned to look back at the officer, and that's when the officer fired his weapon. Investigators say he fired off at least 4 shots, striking the teen once. Now, I asked the commissioner if he's satisfied with what he saw on the video.
Every police-involved shooting is an unfortunate incident. Every shooting and the harm to anyone is unfortunate. And so I will not say anything about whether I am satisfied, because it will be totally unethical for me to pass judgment before the end of it. And I would be not only undermining but corrupting the investigation.
Well, police say the teen was armed with a 9mm gun stolen from a car in 2021. Meantime, the commissioner identified the officer. His name is Cedric Ellaby. He joined the force in 2019, and per protocol, he's on administrative leave at this hour. Meantime, the commissioner said this investigation is ongoing. We're live now at City Police Headquarters. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. After the shooting, Fox 45 reached out to a former officer to learn more about what goes into the decision to use to fire for an officer to fire a weapon when a suspect is involved.
There are a number of things, not the least of which being, you look for a bulge, you look for something in the belt. And keep in mind, you look for the actions of the person. You've been trained to look, okay, this is where a person puts a gun, this is how it looks when it sticks through their shirt, things of that nature. At that point, when they realize that there is a weapon, they understand it's a dangerous situation, and they have a right to act.
Well, this is the first police-involved shooting in Baltimore this year.
And we are following more breaking news today. Another senior official in the mayor's office is under the microscope tonight. Fox 45's Jeff Abel shows us why the mayor's interim chief of staff is now being questioned about his income and how he reported it. Jeff?
You know, it was just 2 weeks ago when the mayor appointed his campaign manager to be his interim chief of staff. And now there are questions whether that appointee has ethically complied with everything.
A gun rights group says it is prepared to challenge the law if Governor Moore signed the bill
for Senate Bill 1.
And that's exactly what the governor did on Tuesday. Now, the legal challenges are already underway. The NRA announcing just moments after Governor Wes Moore signed SB 1 into law, it was filing a lawsuit against Maryland over this language. Mary?
All right, we'll see where that one goes. Mackenzie, tell us more about one of the other bills that the governor signed today. It includes the language that City State's Attorney Ivan Bates was pushing for during the session, right?
Yeah, that's right. We know we have talked to the City State's Attorney Ivan Bates about this piece of legislation several times during the session, right? This is the language that calls for raising the maximum penalty for first-time gun offenders from 3 years to 5 years. And when we spoke with Bates earlier today, he says this tool will help him send the message to criminals across the city that gun violence will not be tolerated.
We recognize it's not going to change everything. But since that bill was passed, 26 people in Baltimore City have been murdered. So for us, we need to make sure individuals know they can and will be held accountable.
That piece of legislation, just like SB 1, will take effect October 1st. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. And a side note, a federal judge just issued a preliminary injunction against parts of a new law in New Jersey that is similar to the one in Maryland that the governor signed today about where legal gun owners can carry their guns.
The violent crime crisis continues in Baltimore with multiple shootings today. The first happened before 2 in the morning. Police say a 40-year-old man who'd been shot multiple times checked himself into a hospital. Police say he was shot on North August Avenue near Edmonton Avenue. At 2 this afternoon, there was a second walk-in victim in southwest Baltimore. Police say that victim was a 26-year-old man. They have not identified where he was shot. Anyone with information about either incident should contact city police. Well, the city has now surpassed 100 people killed for the year. Alexa Ashwell joins us live in studio with troubling spikes and concern there could be 300 homicides again for the 9th consecutive year. Alexa.
Kai, the most troubling spike involves city youth. We're seeing cases of juveniles on both sides of the gun with little sign of the violence slowing. At least 10 of the more than 100 homicides the city has tallied so far this year are juveniles. And while overall homicides and shootings are down compared to this time last year, among juveniles, homicides are up about 67%. And non-fatal shootings are up about 55%. That's according to BPD data. A mother says she just had to call 911 after her neighbor's 14-year-old daughter was shot. She blames access to guns, a lack of resources, and drugs.
There's nothing in these neighborhoods. Like, all they see, they becoming a product of our environment. Like, all they see is guns, drugs.
So as it stands, the city has had 102 homicides. The reason there's concern we may still reach that grim 300 murder mile marker can be seen in past data. Take a look. This is a look at where the homicide count stood by the end of May for each of the past 7 years. As you can see, every total is below 150, yet each of those years ended finishing with more than 300 homicides for the year. One reason experts say crime historically increases in the warmer months, so it's very possible we may once again hit 300 homicides for the year. Kai, Mary?
Alexa, thank you. Well, violent crime is down year over year. There is concern over Baltimore's clearance rate. According to BPD, their uniform crime reporting closure rate is around 40%. That means there are more than 50 unsolved homicides this year. A former detective telling Fox 45 it is a scary reality for those living in the city.
If you want to live with killers, then 40% is good. But if you want to live in a society where you can feel free to go to the convenience store or go to school, man, 95% is what you're shooting for.
The low clearance rate comes as the department is struggling with a massive staffing shortage. BPD saying they have 500 vacancies. And while the police union claims the department is actually closer to 700 officers short of what's needed to effectively police the city.
All eyes are on Pimlico Racecourse. Promised renovations apparently are going slowly. The growing frustration as we count down to the Preakness Stakes.
There are so many car break-ins happening right now. Repairs are getting backed up. The issues one local repair shop says you could face if you need help with your car.
the founder of ChatGPT, tells lawmakers even he's nervous about what AI can do. I'm Atrell Nashar on Capitol Hill with the steps Congress is considering to regulate this technology.
And get those windows open on this afternoon's commute. Sunglasses, well, maybe not so much, though. We do have a few showers around and some extra clouds. Temperatures falling from the 80s back through the 70s into the 60s by commutes. And I'll let you know when sun comes back and if it's with cooler temperatures. And my Weather Authority forecast.
Special counsel John Durham has been invited to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee. The invitation comes from the committee's chairman, Congressman Jim Jordan. This after Durham's report found the FBI used, quote, uncorroborated intelligence in launching its investigation into former President Trump's 2016 campaign's possible ties to Russia. Democrats and Republicans disagree about the report's significance.
We have a situation where the FBI ran every stop sign available, kept pushing a warrant against American citizen based on a Steele dossier that was a piece of fiction.
This was the result of Donald Trump badgering Bill Barr to investigate the investigators. So it was brought really with no predicate except this is what Donald Trump was demanding and this is what Bill Barr wanted to.
Durham's nearly 4-year investigation led to no convictions and resulted in one guilty plea.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers are considering new rules for artificial intelligence. National correspondent Dr. El Nashar spoke to experts who are sounding the alarm.
America's tech companies are in a race to develop cutting-edge artificial intelligence products. Now, many in Congress say they should act just as quickly to regulate them.
There's no way to put this genie in the bottle. Globally, it's exploding.
A Senate Judiciary Committee hearing Tuesday attempting to answer some basic questions about how to begin.
Many members of Congress do not understand artificial intelligence.
Who bears responsibility for balancing technological innovation with moral and ethical obligations? The government or the companies themselves, or both? Potential regulations include licensing, product testing, disclosure requirements so people know what they're interacting with was made with AI. Some onus, experts say, falls on the user.
I would call it algorithmic literacy.
just learning to understand how algorithms are shaping our life.
How it's changing life is something even the creator of ChatGPT told lawmakers he's anxious about.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
The abuse of facial recognition, copyright infringement, impersonation, election interference, misinformation, just some of the feared outcomes.
If you've got breakthrough technology and it could have a massive impact on the world, should you really release it to everybody? It's very hard to undo it, right? Once the technology is there and it's in everybody's phones, it's very difficult to say, oh, no, you're not allowed to use that anymore.
Senate Judiciary Chairman Dick Durbin pointed out how rare it is for companies to want to be regulated, as some in the AI space are now. But there are doubts that lawmakers who've spent years talking about regulating other tech-focused fields like social media and cryptocurrency can take action on AI before it advances beyond their control. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atrell Nashar.
All right, Jonathan is back. Beautiful day out there today. Were you outside doing yard work as per usual?
Not today, Mary, if you can believe that. Not today, but I need to.
Well, no. And I'm glad you got
to
relax.
get out.
You got to relax a little bit.
Exactly.
You're working too hard.
Thank you.
You know what? Working so hard.
We'll
Call
just
Kia.
take the rest of the week off.
He is not watching. All right. Anyway, we have sunshine this morning. Beautiful. But then the clouds. And look what's coming from some of those. We do have some sprinkles and light showers. Overall, not a bad day, but not quite as pretty as promised as what we saw yesterday and the day before. You could see some of these light showers from Chesapeake Beach out to Oxford on the Eastern Shore, Easton. Really, most of this stuff is not even reaching the ground. Let's go ahead and straighten that map out, why don't we? There we go. You can see a little better now. The wider scope of the radar, we've got some rain showers, even some nasty thunderstorms down to our south and our southwest. You can see here all the lightning that's associated with some of that. That is a band of even some severe weather that's going to be in play as we take a look. Again, let's put on that national mode of the radar at some of the action there. That is what's scraping us as the latest weather maker. Then there's a whole bunch of rain and thunderstorms out on the west coast down into Texas. We've had some flooding into portions of the lower Mississippi Valley. And again, we're just getting a very slight scrape out of this, and then this drier, cooler air to the north is going to bump into it and push it away. So maybe a shower or two through this evening, a spatter on the windshield. You may have to turn on the wipers, maybe for a swipe or two, and then that's about it. 78 degrees, Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam right now. Winds out of the west-southwest at 15. Humidity is at 45%. There's the key to why we're not getting a whole lot of rain. Low humidity levels. The stuff dries out as it tries to hit the ground. The clouds have taken care of the temperatures, though, a little bit. We're now at 60 at Bel Air, 62 at Chestertown, 78, though, here in Baltimore, 75 at Cockeysville, and 77 at Frederick. So a couple of showers, a couple of clouds, and then it looks like some cooler weather coming for tomorrow. Right now, 78 Baltimore. We're at 77 at Westminster. There's some of the cooling weather that's out toward Oakland and Deep Creek Lake, as well as Cumberland. That's with some rain that's moving through your neck of the woods. As we take a wider look at the temperature map, there's the warmth down to the south. 67 at St. Louis, but then hopping to 81 at Memphis, 86 at Atlanta, and some warm numbers across portions of the Intermountain West as well. But for us, we're going to eventually get on the cooler side of the country. This is going to happen for tomorrow as well as into Thursday as a jet stream or the storm track sinks southbound. That's also going to take the showers with it, too. That's going to take any of the weather systems away. So you do see some of the rain showers through about 8:15, 9 o'clock. By about 10:30, sinking southbound through about midnight off the eastern shore. And then by early tomorrow morning, temperatures settling into the 50s as we begin our Wednesday. Lots of sunshine for Thursday, and then Friday's Black-Eyed Susan Day, gorgeous, 74. Spot shower chance here or there on Saturday with a high 77. That's for Preakness, and then back to clouds and sun near 80 early next week.
Jonathan, thank you. Catalytic converter thefts and car break-ins creating big trouble for local repair shops. The backlog you could be facing next time you need something repaired. A curfew, school reform, and putting pressure on parents, the steps one community activist says the mayor needs to take to tackle juvenile crime. Baltimore community leaders are calling for more action from City Hall to stop the youth crime crisis. Some saying we need to see major changes in city schools and public safety policies. Tom Rogers has the details.
With the head of the mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement, or MONSE, resigning in a matter of just weeks and juvenile crime spiking before the summer months, communities are calling on Mayor Scott to implement curfews and get tough on crime now. And community activist Pastor Shannon Wright says removing Baltimore City Public School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises is a good place to start.
I understand Dr. Santelises is a nice lady, but she's not doing a good job. So getting rid of the superintendent would be one of the first things that I would do. And although the mayor is not directly able to do that, he is absolutely able to put his power and influence in that area. But instead, he doubles down on supporting a leader who has proven to be a failure at the job she was hired to do. So first thing, remove and replace the superintendent of schools. Second thing, recognize that a lot of what we're seeing in the streets in Baltimore is from a breakdown of the family, and the mayor cannot legislate the family. But we can create closer, real working partnerships with houses of faith that are mission mandated. They're the only bodies on this planet that are mission mandated to help people, to help families. That's number two.
Now, Pastor Wright's third point was to have Mayor Scott work with City State's Attorney Ivan Bates to create consequences for anyone who breaks the law, even minor laws, to stop the violent culture that she says perpetuates the, quote, you can get away with anything, even murder, in Baltimore. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
Well, car-related crimes are backing up repair shops, the issues that thefts are creating for businesses, and the latest on efforts to stop thefts. Years of promises are leading to frustration over the facilities, pressing local leaders on what is being done to improve the Pimlico Racecourse as the Preakness Stakes approaches.
There's a warning being issued for Baltimore City drivers. A local auto repair shop says you could be waiting weeks for simple car repairs.
And it comes amid a surge in car break-ins and thefts across the city. As Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor tells us, auto shops are struggling to keep up. Rebecca joins us live now with more on this. Rebecca.
Yeah, according to data from the Baltimore City Police Department, car thefts have nearly doubled from where they were this time last year, and it's driving up demand at auto shops like this one.
Behind the doors of Bumper Globe Collision Center in South Baltimore, mechanics are swamped with a backlog of vandalized vehicles. Owner Carrie Cow is hearing impaired. On a piece of paper, Cow writing, car break-ins and thefts are sky high.
We had, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen cars coming in a week for all that.
Most of which damaged Kias and Hyundais, stemming from a social media challenge showing how easy the cars are to steal.
They're basically breaking into the steering column, taking out the ignition switch, put a pair of pliers on it, turning it without the key.
But that's not all. Kuo says from swiped catalytic converters to smashed windows, all makes and models can be targeted.
He's talking about people will break in the windows. They'll take screwdrivers, they'll pry it up from the top of the window. They'll damage the pillar, and then they can get out of here in 5 minutes or less.
On social media, several Baltimore community pages now sharing countless images of shattered glass, ripped doors, and stolen cars. And in the first week of May alone, BPD reporting a 164% jump in auto thefts, totaling 174 stolen cars in just 7 days.
It just keeps happening.
Across town, Best Price Auto Glass too busy for an interview, but telling Fox 45 off camera they're getting up to 30 to 40 calls a day for window repairs, driving a months-long delay for service.
People are paying out of the pocket. It depends on the insurance.
With insurance, Kuo says his customers could be waiting over a month for repairs. And even without it, stolen parts are hard to hunt down these days.
It takes about 2-3 weeks just to get an ignition cylinder anymore. A lot of times we might have to get it used on eBay. Let the customer know that. Junkyard, stuff like that. The manufacturer can't keep up.
And with the rise in crime showing no signs of slowing down, if you don't want to deal with the backlog at body shops.
Yeah, he's recommending everybody should get alarms.
Kuo also recommends parking in front of cameras in well-lit areas, as well as never leaving your valuables visible inside your car. Reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Rebecca. As car thefts spike, state and city leaders are now taking action against some car companies. Mayor Brandon Scott and the city are suing Hyundai and Kia. The mayor says the companies are partly responsible for a spike in vehicle thefts in Baltimore. According to the mayor, 577 Kias and Hyundais have been stolen in the city due to the car's faulty security systems. Police Commissioner Michael Harrison says 41% of all the cars stolen this year are Kias and Hyundais.
At the same time, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown, along with attorneys general from 17 other states, calling on the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to recall the vehicles. Brown blaming social media companies for the problem, saying that websites have been flooded with how-to videos for wiring the cars and bypassing their security features.
Baltimore police say a body was found in northeast Baltimore just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Detectives say they found an unidentified body in a wooded area off Exeter Hall Road or Avenue. That's near the Stadium School. Now, the medical examiner's office will perform an autopsy, but right now this is being treated as a homicide investigation.
Well, this weekend, eyes from all around the world will be on Baltimore for the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. It has now been 3 years, though, since lawmakers inked a deal to bring $375 million in state investments to Pimlico and Laurel Park, and to keep the Preakness in Baltimore. But horse racing fans will arrive again this year to a venue still in dire need of modernization. Fox 45's Amy Simpson live at Pimlico right now. Amy, what are you learning about progress towards redevelopment or the lack of progress?
So, Mary, those plans to breathe new life here into Pimlico are delayed. In fact, we've learned that any timeline for potential construction, there's no concrete plan.
Preparations underway inside Pimlico today. Tents lining the infield and horses seen out on the track this morning, with just 4 days until the 148th running of the Preakness Stakes. But for tens of thousands of visitors to the track this weekend, it appears to be the same Pimlico as last year, despite being 3 years removed from promises of hundreds and millions in investments to the facility.
It's getting a slower start than I think any party would like, but you get one chance to get this right.
Those words ahead of last year's Preakness Stakes from the Executive Vice President of the Maryland Stadium Authority.
We expect to be in construction, I'd say late summer of 23 and completed by Preakness 26.
But that timeline is now being walked back. The Maryland Stadium Authority declined multiple interview requests to discuss progress on this project, instead sending links to its website, recent legislation extending Maryland's Horse Racing Act, and this Stadium Authority report submitted to state lawmakers in January. On page 7, the report acknowledges it previously said construction at Pimlico would commence no sooner than late summer 2023. But due to process and design delays and outstanding project prerequisites, this timetable is no longer realistic.
I actually can't give you a timeline. It's, there's a lot of work to be done. Everybody needs to roll up their sleeves and really, pitch in and share ideas and share concepts and figure out how we can close those gaps. It's an extensive project, and it's got a lot of twists and turns to it and a lot of complications. It's not a simple, build it and they will come kind of situation.
The Executive Vice Chairman of First Racing and Gaming, another stakeholder in redevelopment at Pimlico and Laurel Park, says the landscape has changed since the original legislation was passed in 2020.
Since then, we've had COVID. Since the law was adopted, we've had a situation where interest rates have practically tripled, which affects the amount of bond financing available.
The what's next for Pimlico appears to be headed back to the drawing board.
We need to sit down, figure out what the actual scope of the project needs to be based upon what the available funds are going to be. What's the best thing for Maryland racing, for us as a company, for our horsemen, and for the public.
And not only will this project take longer, but it'll likely cost more. In that a report by the Stadium Authority shared with state lawmakers earlier this year, it said that redevelopment here at Pimlico and Laurel Park, it could cost anywhere from $160 million to $350 million more than previously budgeted. We're live at Pimlico. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
All right, Amy, thank you for that update. Well, looking ahead to race day, Mage, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, will be starting in the 3rd position for the Preakness Stakes. Yesterday's draw party was the first ever to be open to the public. The crowd cheered when Mage's name was called. Members of his team saying they are very happy with the draw and confident in their chances on Saturday.
This is what we dream of. Not the recognition, not like getting famous, no, not about that. It's about winning the race. Now that we have won it, of course, we understand that with that kind of success, there's other stuff coming together with that. And we try to do the best we can.
Well, there are only 8 horses running in the Preakness, while 18 horses ran in the Kentucky Derby. Mage, of course, the favorite to win. The winner of Preakness will take home $1.65 million.
And the running of the 148th Preakness Stakes takes place this Saturday, May 20th, and we're giving you the chance to go for free. Watch Fox 45 Morning News all week and wait for your cue to call. Each hour from 5 a.m. until 10 a.m., one lucky winner will get 4 all-day general admission passes, including the Preakness Live concert lineup headlined by Bruno Mars. Well, what would you do for a chance to win Preakness tickets?
Aside watching our morning show.
Yes,
right?
watching the morning show. There you go.
Well, if you also love Old Bay, Maxine Stryker might have a way for you to get to the race. She's live now in Fells Point with the very latest. Maxine?
Well, Mary and Kai, just how much do you love Maryland and Old Bay? Probably not as much as all of these people here who have been lined up all day long waiting to get in so they can get a lifelong and very permanent, as you said, reminder of their pride for this great state.
Since the sun came up over Baltimore City,
7 o'clock.
the people started lining up.
Since about 8:15 this morning.
We came here at 8:30.
And by 11 o'clock, more than 200 were wrapped around the block, pondering a big decision.
I'm thinking the back of my leg, because I think especially with swimsuit season, the crab is just going to be like perfect for summer.
All in the name of a Maryland icon.
People put on deviled eggs now. They put it in their eggs.
Old Bay, of course.
Beautiful. You can eat it breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
These? Yeah, these are awesome. That's nuts. Impeccable.
Today, they're making their love of the little yellow can of seasoning run skin deep.
I always wanted an Old Bay tattoo, and with the chance to get a free one, why not?
Chris and his husband Brett came together for their free Old Bay themed tattoos at Baltimore's Tattoo Museum.
My mom has the same one that says I love you more on her ribs.
Brett already has a few, but it'll be Chris's first.
Sort of in between, I think, the crab one, but I'm not 100% there yet.
Mother and daughter Melinda and Carrie are also marking the occasion together.
It's a Baltimorean kind of experience.
I've, thought about it, and why not Old Bay, why not Maryland? If not now, when?
It's something only Marylanders would understand.
If you don't like Old Bay, I question, why are you in Maryland then? Because it's a thing, and it's tastes good on everything, so did you try it?
I'm obsessed with Old Bay.
And the obsession,
I love Old Bay and old crabs.
is apparently well worth the pain.
I'm terrified of needles, actually.
Hey, Don, give me a few minutes to get set up, all right? You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
It's a pride so strong.
Let's go.
It's not so bad, though.
It's permanent.
Awesome, man. Thanks. I'm going to clean up now.
We can see still a few people lined up out here today. They are going to be open till 8 doing tattoos, but if you haven't already been out here and signed up, it's too late. You cannot come out anymore and get one. They were hoping to do about 60 tattoos here today, and you can also sign up to win 2 free Preakness tickets if you swing by here today as well. So pretty good deal. Reporting live in Fells Point, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. Are 2 prominent Republicans about to announce campaigns? The latest developments in the 2024 election.
And if you've got a flight out of town this evening, or maybe you're staying in town and watching the O's over at Camden Yards at 6:35, well, there could be a light shower or spritz, but nothing to ruin any plans. Temperatures in the 70s at about 7 p.m. and dropping gradually off through the 60s by 9 and almost midnight tonight. Still spritz around. I'll let you know what the rain chances look like as we head toward Preakness on Saturday, though. My Weather Authority forecast.